NARI predicts severe food and land shortages from climate change. Departments launch cervical cancer vaccination project. And Kundiawa residents behind Telikom PNG for services.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Friday's news. The National Agricultural Research Institute has predicted a severe food and land shortage as climate change impacts sets and coastal communities in the country. Atoll islands like Manus and Carteret are expected to feel the pinch of the impact in a very big way. In a recent workshop facilitated by NARI has highlighted food security and climate change adaptation as key aspects to provide countermeasures in prone regions. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
This is a group of subsistence farmers who have traveled to East New Britain province from Manus. They make up part of a group of people of Pobuma local level government on Manus, a region that is facing the impacts of climate change. They've been part of a 2-week-long training facilitated by the National Agricultural Research Institute at Keravat that try to help the farmers to better understand how to cater to the climate change effects as it sets in. Almost all of them are living in the village and use traditional agriculture knowledge and methods to grow food to eat and sell. But until recently, they are beginning to face more serious concerns that centers around climate change. NARI agricultural experts say climate change may prompt a severe land and food shortage as population continue to increase on island communities.
NARI is to try and disseminate relevant agricultural technologies to go through along rural farming communities, and that is in line with NARI's vision of improved rural farming communities in Papua New Guinea. And with the effects of this climate change, that's how NARI decided to step in.
The National Agricultural Research Institute are doing groundbreaking researches into climate change affected areas in Papua New Guinea. Like any other coastal communities, the battle against climate change in Manus Island is one that they know they will eventually lose.
Climate change come up, people passing block kai, passing block sit down, isenis. Na sabe long, bringing the senis, behind the climate change or senis, we play no na, we play no.
Issues surrounding land shortages, food security and population growth will become an issue for island communities in the coming years, and those in authority responsible to fund agriculture-based researchers to create plans to address these problems don't appear to be ready for it. NARI says agricultural research and development awareness are missing in Papua New Guinea as more concerns and funding opportunities are put on non-important areas. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
The National Departments of Health and Education, in partnership along with Rotary Club, today announced the launch of the 2017 Cervical Cancer Vaccination Pilots Project in the nation's capital. Health Secretary Pascal Kase said this was the prevention measure in the fight against cervical cancer. In a year, a total of 1,500 women die from cervical cancer in PNG. From April until October, all girls aged 9 to 14 attending grade 3 to 6 at all public and private schools in NCD will be offered 2 doses of the human papilloma virus vaccination, which protects women and girls from cervical cancer and other cancers like mouth, throat and anal cancer.
It's a lifetime protection against cancers to our young girls. It's a pity that we were not able to have this earlier because we don't have the resource to procure this kind of vaccination into the country. But thankful to the chairman of the health team that from the Rotary Club, Dr. Puleto, who organized all these things, which is now becoming a reality.
More than 50 countries around the world have already introduced the HPV vaccination. National HPV Coordinator Edward Warriman says the challenge is getting all girls in Port Moresby vaccinated, especially those who may not be in school.
Which have been considered, and those ones are the girls that are not in the school. All right? So they will be addressed at a later time when we get the statistics sorted out properly, because we are not able to get good estimations of the population that are not in school. So we need to consult closely with NSO to do that.
Rotary Club and Cancer Foundation have bought the vaccine for the pilot project, and the cost of every 2 doses of the vaccine is approximately 800 kina to 1,000. But the manufacturers of the vaccine have given a special price that will also be used when the government looks to purchase.
For the actual vaccines that we bought now, we bought it at a special price of $4.60. So we've saved more than $110. And you know, we hope that through that association, we've also asked them if they could freeze that price, and they've guaranteed that they would do that for the next 10 years.
The challenge now is getting the resources and funding to roll out vaccinations to the rest of the country. Women between the age of 14 and 26 can also get vaccinated, but will need 3 doses.
Mother, or you are aged, from 15, 16 onwards up to 26 years, you can still get the vaccine. The only thing is that it is not available yet in the country. We have to go through the process of registering and licensing it to be made available in our catalogue.
Parents have been asked to give permission for their daughters to receive the vaccination to help prevent cervical cancer. Adelaide Sirok-Kari, National, EMTV News.
Public servants must uphold public service ethics while serving in their respective organizations to bring impact to the country. That's from the chairman of the Governing Council at the Institute of Public Administration and departmental head, John Kali. He said this when addressing over 200 public servants who graduated in various certificate and diploma programs today.
Present to witness the Papua New Guinea's Institute of Public Administration 19 graduation among students, families and friends were Australian Public Service Commissioner John Lloyd and delegates, heads of departments, the UPNG Vice Chancellor and Finance Minister James Marape. PNG IPA Governing Council Chairman John Kali, while speaking to the 275 graduates, maintained that the institutions will reopen centers by partnering with existing institutions in 4 regions in the country.
For example, in the New Guinea Islands with the University of Natural Resources and Environment, in the Mimosa region with the Divine Word University, in the Southern region, possibility of entering into partnerships with the Pacific Adventist University, and in the Highlands, Goroka University, but also possibility of some of the church-run institutions out there.
Australian Public Service Commissioner John Lloyd commended the graduates and urged them to uphold public service ethics in order to contribute positively in the public service.
Way you'll face temptations, and you may see others give into temptations. It's important that you always remember the ethics and values that govern the conduct of the PNG public service. One of my functions as Public Service Commissioner is to uphold high standards of integrity and conduct in the Australian public service.
Finance Minister James Marape said there are 125,000 public servants, of whom a total of 130 million government budget is appropriated towards their fortnights. This equates to 26% of the national economy. Minister Marape challenged them to give their best to contribute meaningfully to the country.
Today, as you walk out from this podium receiving your certificates of diploma, you will be placed in your stations in life, some in the remotest part of this country, some in the highest of all offices in this land, irrespective of all these range of designations. The commonality amongst us, one life, one bedtime, one death time, one work and life you're doing today meant the most in your positions in life. Don't expect someone else to do it for you or for us.
Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
Residents in Kundiawa town have praised Telikom PNG for registering its customers' identification. Police also support this concept as it will assist in their operations. Telikom is following the new Communication Act by regulator NICTA to register its customers' ID before issuing them with new products.
The Kundiawa residents, business houses and local police are pleased for Telikom PNG for registering its customers' ID. They say this will help to minimize the abuse of internet, especially social media and text messaging. First Constable Neil Wane, based in Kundiawa, came in civilian today to swap his whole Telecom device to get a new 4G device. He was pleased to know what Telecom is doing. Wane told MTV News the difficulty police faced to apprehend suspects and what the future holds for them.
Awesome, lo past experience lo text na boda some people like some suspect apprehending suspect them very hard, but then through this la lo register mo sim na this la kan mate face em by working misi lo work lo police because through this la social media so all working sa new pla hack there lo this la communication hack there em by helping lo I didn't know suspect and then em by minimize him na cut them down this la problem this issue lo imi totok lo this la all one email so.
Telikom PNG will soon roll out its 4G network. Currently, they are in Kundiawa doing its 4G SIM swapping exercise. Before the launching of 4G network, Telikom is rewarding its loyal customers with a new 4G SIM card and a smartphone.
Free phone and a SIM card, and this will go on until stock lasts. Yeah, so first come, first serve. We're here because we appreciate the loyalty of those customers who stood with us, and thereafter then we'll start selling. But today and this period we're here just to launch the swap exercise.
Telecom customers can swap their modem, fixed access wireless phones and other telecom products to get a new device. Vasinata Yama, National MTV News, Kundiawa.
Farewell to PNG's King of the Airwaves. Members of Parliament, including Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, joined family and friends at the funeral service of Roger Hawafa. We'll bring you that story and more after the break. Welcome back. Opposition leader Don Pollier continues to criticize the national government over its decision to secure the UBS loan worth 3 billion kina to pay for 10.1% shares in Oil Search. With less than a month till elections, politicians, party leaders and intending candidates have been attending public events and speaking. Pollier's latest critic came yesterday in Mount Hagen during the launching of a local business group. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has continued to defend the decision to get the UBS loan. But Mr. Pollier said the country's debt level is 30 billion kina against PNG's aggregate wealth or GDP of 46 billion kina. He added that the country's revenues are being used to repay the loans overseas. The electoral office in Morobe will begin its objection period next Monday, during which names of people who have died or moved on will be removed from the electoral rolls. That fieldwork has already been completed with data entry nearing completion. Election Manager Simon Soheke made the announcement during the two-day preparation meeting with the returning and assistant returning officers for Morobe in Ley that began yesterday.
The government has given 400 million kina to the PNG Electoral Commission. 121 million kina was allocated for security and 297 million kina was given for election preparations. In Morobe Province, a 21 million kina submission was made to the government. However, Provincial Election Office was asked to revise its budget twice to 10.1 million kina. From the 10 million kina allocation, its district was given 1 million kina.
And now we have a budget of only 10.1 million to operate within Morobe. In 2012 election, Morobe was allocated 7.4 million, a difference of about 2.7 million.
Simon Soheke says the 2017 election will be more challenging than the previous elections. For Morobe, the biggest challenge will be the timely delivery of ballot boxes into remote locations, security and weather conditions. Returning officers and assistant returning officers are being urged to manage the limited resources available to deliver the 2017 national elections in the province. Soheke also told the returning officers and the assistant returning officers present that the PNG Electoral Commission has made some new changes.
In 2017 national elections will be very different and greater than the past elections.
The two-day meeting is for the returning and the assistant returning officers to be informed on the status of the roll update, confirmation of the polling schedule, logistical requirements for its electorate, and the budget allocation. Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Ley.
Governor General His Excellency Bob Dadai today executed on behalf of the state a contract for catering and hospitality services for PNG Defence Force establishments throughout the country. The contract, valued close to 24.8 million kina, was awarded to IPI Catering Limited and will be fully financed by the state. PNG Defence Force Chief of Staff Colonel Raymond Numa said IPI Catering commenced its services yesterday. He said the company will be engaged for the next 5 years and will set up its services in all PNGDF establishments by the 1st of next month. IPI Catering Limited Chief Executive Officer Scott O'Reilly and IPI Group Board Chairman Jolson Kutato signed the contract before the Governor General, witnessed by Department of Defense Acting Secretary Trevor Maori. The contract signing was the first official engagement for Governor General Bob Dadai since being sworn into office on the 28th of last month. And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4073 Australian dollars, €0.2886 euro and 35.11 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed higher while copra closed the day unchanged. Crude oil closed higher while palm oil and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 2.46 points higher. The ASX is trading at 34.4 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 30.69 points higher. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back, including WikiLeaks founder on leaked CIA documents and the family of boxing legend Muhammad Ali angered by Trump's travel ban. Stay with us for details. Welcome back to the news. Turning to news overseas, Australian Julian Assange continues to taunt America's CIA after WikiLeaks released trove of documents detailing the spy agency's cyber hacking tools. Assange says there are more bombshells to come and suggests the CIA is playing catch-up and understanding the enormity of the leak.
Tonight, fugitive Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, claiming the CIA cyber breach is far more devastating than the agency knows or acknowledges.
The Central Intelligence Agency lost control of its entire cyber weapons arsenal. This is a historic act of devastating incompetence.
Warning he has a lot more to release, saying he got the stolen documents from a former government contractor working for the CIA. Tonight, the FBI and CIA working on an urgent mission, a former CIA director says, tracing a digital trail to track down the culprit.
There are tools so that we can be able to then pinpoint who might have been responsible. If I was the individual involved, I'd worry a great deal about the fact that ultimately they're going to be found out.
The CIA relies on dozens of contracting firms for its cyber operations, plus help from the National Security Agency and British intelligence partners. Now the CIA under pressure and again under fire from the president.
He believes that the systems at the CIA are outdated and need to be updated.
And Assange is taunting the CIA that he'll help tech companies fix the holes in their software.
We have decided to work with them to give them some exclusive access to the additional technical details we have.
The family of late great boxer Muhammad Ali has come out swinging against Donald Trump's travel ban. Muhammad Ali Jr. said he was violated at a U.S. airport last month, detained and questioned about his religion before being allowed to go home.
On Capitol Hill, the first family of American boxing came with a knockout punch for Donald Trump.
We need to step into the ring and join the fight for righteousness.
Muhammad Ali's son and former wife testified about the president's travel ban, detailing how the family of the late US legend was targeted trying to get back into their own country.
They asked me, what was your religion? And I was like, I'm Muslim. Obviously, I don't think they believed me. So I told them that I was Muhammad Ali's son, because they thought I would be like, I'm black, I'm a Muslim, he must be a terrorist.
He was detained for almost 2 hours.
But coming from Jamaica, not Syria, coming from Jamaica.
And I felt that my human rights was just abused. I felt like a immigrant.
Lawmakers heard dozens of stories of lawful travellers detained and degraded, including Australian author Mem Fox.
This traumatic ordeal was the first one that Fox, who had travelled back and forth to the United States 100 times, had ever endured. She has vowed never to return.
Donald Trump's new travel ban takes effect at the end of next week. Hawaii lodged the first lawsuit against it, and more states are following as the Ali family vows a showdown against the president's policy.
It could be the way of the future. Robots zipping along pavements, delivering meals from the restaurant to the home. The robots are now being tested in several American cities, but they still need a human chaperone. One day, they will go solo.
With speeds that reach only 4 miles an hour, robots like this won't win any marathons, but they might change the face of food delivery. Already, they're getting a lot of looks.
What was your reaction when you first saw it?
Well, just thought the new space age, I guess.
Created by Starship Technologies, these sidewalk rovers pick up takeout or groceries.
Let's check it out here.
Then bring the food to hungry customers. The company is teaming up with the delivery service DoorDash to test the robots in Redwood City, California. For now, handlers escort the machines while someone else operates them remotely, but someday they'll travel solo, even in crosswalks, with operators only stepping in when they hit obstacles.
It does have 9 cameras front and back and has ultrasonics, so it has a bubble of perception, if you will, and awareness to be able to avoid obstacles.
And to prevent thefts, the lid can only be unlocked by whoever places the order.
We have alarms if you pick up the robot, like sirens, like a car alarm. It's tracked to the nearest inch.
The robots are also at work in 4 European cities, along with Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Washington, D.C., where today the company officially launched, partnering with Postmates. DoorDash says the goal is to complement its workforce with the robots tackling shorter trips.
It really allows us to free up our human dashers to take on the more complex, longer distance deliveries.
So someday a 40-pound robot just might show up at your door.
Back home, renowned media personality and the king of talkback radio, the late Roger Hawofa, was farewelled today in Port Moresby. Those who paid tribute to Roger, including Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, described him as a people's man who had an impact on nation building through radio. FM 100 CEO John Mong said the board and management is in talks to rename the famous talkback show after Roger Hawofa.
The funeral service of the much-loved radio broadcaster Roger Hawofa was held at the Sir John Guy's Indoor Complex. Family, friends, colleagues, national leaders, and his faithful listeners turned up to pay their last respects. Many of those who spoke said Roger had a loving personality and a big heart. He loved life and was kind, funny, and warm. He was more than a radio announcer. Roger Hawofa was also called the voice of conscience. FM 100 CEO John Mong said by 2018, the Talkback Show will be called the Roger Hawofa Talkback Show.
We at the management and the stakeholders will discuss after this and plan to take the Talkback Show to name after the late Roger Hawofa as Roger Hawofa Talkback Show commencing 2018 onwards.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said Roger carried the respect of both sides of politics. He called on the management of FM 100 to archive his work as part of the country's history and as reference for young and upcoming journalists and broadcasters.
Roger's broadcast and the words that he delivered to our people certainly must be archived and, of course, preserved for our future generations. Many who follow Roger and his peers in journalism, especially our young journalists, should look at the examples that he set and continue to strive to meet those high professional standards that he set.
Janet Sios said the work on raising awareness on kidney failure and lifestyle diseases will continue as Roger's legacy.
I became part of the Roger inaugural charity team that tracked the famous Kokoda track, Kokoda for Kidney, K4K, and a lot of them are here, where funds were raised from that track to assist Roger with his medical bills and to set up his charity as part of his legacy as a radio legend and as a media gentle giant personality.
His children, Michelle and Jason, described him as a dynamic person. He spoke 6 languages fluently, including Tongan, Fijian, English, Tok Pisin, and the local Misima language. He loved seafood and enjoyed fishing and music. But at the end of the day, radio was his passion.
He was kind and funny, warm and loving, embracing and loving my cousins as his own children. He was trusting and giving, loyal and generous.
To everyone, you were known as Roger Hawafa, talkback king. But to me, you were Dad. The tributes received on social media and on radio since your passing are testament to the great man you were and to the many lives you have touched.
Roger will be laid to rest at Yara village in the Central Province. He is survived by his wife Pauline, his 9 children, 22 grandchildren, and 1 great-granddaughter. Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
Chukai Sports is next. Details when we come back.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Since Tuesday this week, there has been no change to the SP PNG Hunters team for this weekend. The Hunters know playing at home comes with a lot of expectations from the crowd, and they are hoping they can produce good results this weekend.
This week's training sessions have been quite intense. The team has been working mostly on defense. East Tigers will be coming up with a solid forward pack.
We're looking forward to the first home game. It's always good to be back home and play in front of our crowd. We know the expectations that are there to perform as well. But as I probably mentioned on Tuesday, if we're able to just tidy up our little processes and make sure we stick to our systems, that should hopefully give us a favourable outcome.
There are no injury concerns this week except for a few players that have been suffering from ongoing injuries since pre-season.
All set to go. Again, it's just those boys who've had those long-term injuries, and they're probably back in about 4 or 5 weeks. And that's Watova, who's again got he's got a checkup on Monday week with the surgeon. Watson looked all right this afternoon, as well as Junior Oppo running around. So that's a good thing for us if we have healthy boys in there and more boys to look at for the coach.
Wellington Albert will make his debut starting off the bench, and Hukula says with him coming into the team, this has boosted the forward pack.
Having him coming off the bench, adding that height and size will definitely be a bonus for us to match them with their pack.
Hukula stressed that communication between centre Willie Minoga and winger William Aquila is still a work in progress. This weekend will be their 3rd game together on the right edge.
This is 2 fellows that are playing probably the 2nd game together, 3rd coming on. So it's something that we'll look at working on over the course of the season. But we're looking at more cohesion from that right edge, and something, as you said, communication and a whole team effort to to try and work hard in those areas.
The players received great support from the crowd when they play at home. Hukula encouraged many to come out and support the team on Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon football is back, everybody. It's been a while since we've had Sunday afternoons here over at the NFS or all PRL, so I encourage all the families to come out and let's enjoy this afternoon together, and we'll see what result we can produce for everybody.
Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
Former Kumul and NRL forward David Wesley is in the country conducting coaching clinics. He ended a 3-day clinic in Port Moresby for the Southern Confederate coaches before flying to Goroka yesterday. Assisting him is PNG RFL Development Officer Toxinema.
This is one of the happiest times of my life. I've been waiting for a long time to come home and actually do development, because that's something I've grown to love. Teaching little kids up to teaching coaches, because I've had all this experience in the game, and I just have this urge to give back, especially to my country. So it's been a proud moment coming back here.
To build our capacity in our technical officials, especially our coaches and trainers, we came up with this program, and we're fortunate enough to connect ourselves with NRL, they have got the resource people who will come in and help to develop our coaches and our referees. So for our coaches, David has come up and he's done that.
The annual Trukai Fun Run auction, which was held last night here in Port Moresby and in Lae the previous night, raised a total of 526,050 kina from the shirts alone. With the actual Trukai Fun Run event coming up in June, the shirts will be distributed to schools by the various business houses that purchase the shirts. PNG Olympics Committee President Sir John Dawaninkura was pleased with the continuous support this event has been receiving.
500 I'm going once, 500 I'm going twice. Any further advance on 500? Raise your hand or your card now. I haven't got it. Third and final time.
And so the concept was all about raising money to ensure that we paid for the athletes to get to the international events that they were representing Papua New Guinea in. And therefore, we have a lot to be grateful for the late Bruce and Rita Flynn for coming up with that concept. Trukai's involvement is now, this is the 18th year. And it's a fantastic partnership with the Olympic Committee.
With the aim of providing financial support for PNG athletes, the Fun Run concept was carried out across 17 different provinces since Trukai came on board in 2000. And for the last 18 years, it has been supporting 3 worthy causes, mainly the PNG OC with athletes and the schools it has reached out to during the fundraising drives and the Rotary Club. Just like previous years, this year's auction saw a great turnout from business houses. As of last night's stakings, the auctions in both Lae and Port Moresby saw a total of 526,050 kina, with Port Moresby's being the highest with 31,200 shirts sold. Wara was present and got the School of Defence new recruits a total high of 1,400 shirts, the highest buy of the evening.
Batty Harbour Secondary School, just down the road. Who'll start me out with 100? Who'll start me out with 100 for Batty Harbour? I've got 100, I've got 100. Do I take 200? I'll take 200. Do I hear 3? Do I hear 3?
We are targeting to raise funds for not only the Pacific Mini Games in Vanuatu in December, but the Commonwealth Youth Games in Bahamas in July. Obviously, we also have to take into account the Commonwealth Games, which is the big event in Gold Coast in 2018, in April of 2018.
Dini Rose Raiko, National MTV Sports.
Capital Rugby Union has stretched its pre-season matches to this weekend to give time to the teams to prepare well for the season proper. This weekend will be the third and last round of the pre-season competition and will see the Under-19s A-grade men's premier and women's division participate.
Capital Rugby Union clubs will play their last pre-season matches tomorrow after the CRU board decided to extend the competition to one more weekend to give time to the teams to prepare well for the proper season. The pre-season matches over the last 2 weekends have been played in the men's under-19, Premier and A-grade division, while the women's teams are looking forward to playing 7-a-side this weekend. Tomorrow's matches will see a total of 26 teams compete to end the pre-season competition. Tomorrow in the men's Premier round, University will take on Hunters, Harlequins will take on Spartans, and Brothers under-19 will take on Crusaders. In the women's division, Sisters will take on Crusaders on Oval 2, while Harlequins will lock horns with Spartans. One team that is looking forward to the 2017 season proper is newcomers, the Central Highlanders. Club president Joe Norrie and team coach Larry Asigau said their team is mainly made up of junior players and everyone is looking forward to the season proper.
We had a lot of young guys who were interested in playing, so we decided to take on the leadership and pull out of the Vikings and start this new club. And it's the Central Highlanders. We were very fortunate to get support from CPL.
The bulk of our team, like I said before, are juniors, so it gives them something to do on the weekend, give them some goals, a focus of where to go. And if they make it to rep level, it should push, give a good platform for the others coming through.
The 2017 season proper for Capital Rugby Union will start next weekend, Saturday 18th of March. Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Football in the region and a preview of the World Cup Russia 2018. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. In football, a Group C action in the OFC Champions League will see Solomon Islands side Western United meet Auckland City in New Zealand, while Papua New Guinean champions Lae City Dwellers face off against Malampa Revivers of Vanuatu, with coach Peter Gunemba saying the Revivers remain an unknown force.
In the opening match for Group C, Vanuatu's Malampa Revivers will meet Papua New Guinea's Lae City Dwellers in their battle to earn an early lead on the ladder. With Malampa Revivers coach Percy Avok yet to arrive in Auckland, assistant coach Stephen Ham has taken the reins for their final Auckland-based training leading up to the match. After finishing bottom of their group in last year's OFC Champions League, the Lae City Dwellers have returned seeking redemption, and coach Peter Gunemba believes the side is more prepared than ever to claim a win against their knee Vanuatu opponents. The Dwellers have had 3 international friendly matches with a 100% record heading into tomorrow's fixture, and this has been a boost to the side's confidence and morale. In terms of individual performances, Lae City will have the services of Captain Raymond Gunemba up front, with fellow PNG squad teammates Kenneth Pilalo and goalkeeper Ronald Warisan. Warisan's quick gloves contributed to Papua New Guinea's historical OFC Nations Cup campaign last year, with his impressive saves keeping the nation in the running for that title all the way to a penalty shootout in the final against New Zealand.
PNG stay strong.
The 2017 OFC Champions League will be Malampa Revivers' debut in the Premier Regional Tournament. With no national team players on the team list, the team will be eager to give everything in their first experience on the international stage. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
Sporting scandals has plagued Russia in recent months, as well as allegations of state-sponsored doping, which has left the country's track and field athletes still banned from international competitions. Russian football has faced accusations of racism, with issues still hanging over the event to mark 100 days to go until the Confederations Cup, essentially a tournament to test Russia's readiness of staging the FIFA World Cup in 2018.
The stadium here is no doubt ready to go, along with all 3 others that will be used in June's tournament, and the other 8 which will be used at next year's World Cup are all well on course as well. But for all the success, the negative headlines continue to dominate.
It's no secret that there are occasional materials in foreign media which are either far from truth or contain facts which are put together in a very biased mode.
There are some facts, though, that are hard to dispute. Just this week, Igor Lebedev, a Russian MP, called for hooliganism to be made a legal sport, raising fears for the safety of fans travelling to support their teams here in Russia. The most senior Russian implicated in the McLaren report into the state-sponsored doping programme, Vitaly Mutko, has been promoted from sports minister to deputy prime minister. He remains the man in charge of making the World Cup happen. And the decision to appoint a man who previously denied the presence of racism in Russian football to lead the anti-racism task force, former player Alexei Smertin, has raised questions about whether or not tournament organisers are taking it seriously.
Are you happy that he is the person to lead the anti-racism mission here in Russia, given his comments from a couple of years ago, where he said racism doesn't exist?
Well, first, I think that we need to give everybody who is a member of these committees a chance to get educated on what we mean by fighting racism. And Alexei is no exception. I just think that we need to give them time to learn what we are demanding in this kind of context.
Should therefore somebody else who does understand the magnitude of the problem be leading the task force?
Well, I think that he's a good representation of the Russian. He is well-known, well-appreciated.
It was 3 years ago that Russia last hosted a major international sporting event, the Winter Olympics in Sochi. I was there as Russia pulled it off and heralded their great moment on the international stage.
A whole lot has happened since then, both on the political and the sporting stage, and the international focus is on an altogether different scale. But whilst it's made the Russian organisers, and above that, the Kremlin, more determined than ever to make this year's Confederations Cup and next year's World Cup a success, you suspect it will take a whole lot more than that to restore Russia's reputation and sporting integrity.
In the first match of round 2 of NRL last night, the Roosters managed to survive a scare from the Bulldogs to go on to win 28-24. Roosters dominated most of the ball possession all throughout the 80 minutes.
And both tries weren't converted. That was 8-0.
The Roosters started slow but picked up after scoring a couple of early tries. They were never behind in the game again after they got on the scoreboard.
Mitchell puts a kick in!
It did not take the Bulldogs long before crossing for their first try. The Roosters paid the price for an error. Unfortunately, he injured his shoulder in the process and it hurt the Bulldogs' defence for the rest of the game. Another error and the Bulldogs were over again to extend their lead, this time through Josh Morris. Both tries were scored in the same corner and both conversion kicks were missed.
In the corner, exactly where Kerrod Holland scored the try.
Roosters halfback Mitchell Pearce along with recruit Luke Keary took the game into their hands, which saw them set a try up for Boyd Cordner.
It's got the ball back on the inside.
This was then followed after by a Daniel Tupou try on the wing off a Latrell Mitchell grabber along the touchline. The Bulldogs struggled to contain the Roosters. Tupou got his second for the night after a well-placed kick from Luke Keary. In the second half, the Roosters started strongly before the Bulldogs threatened to come back not once but twice, eventually failing to get back ahead on the scoreboard. The Roosters managed to survive the scare from the Bulldogs to win by 4 points. Final score 28-24. Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
And in the match just ended, Melbourne Storms beat Warriors 26-10. And that's a wrap on Trukai Sports. Don't forget you can catch tonight's MTV free-to-air coverage of the NRL blockbuster between the Broncos and the Cowboys at 7 p.m. straight after the news. Up next, your weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region only, fine then chance of a shower or two in Port Moresby, mostly fine, becoming cloudy in Daru, mostly fine, then chances of light showers in Kerema and Popondetta, and fine although cloudy at times in Alotau.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the way it is this Friday, the 10th of March 2017. We leave you tonight with a farewell song by Elina Turanga and Makali, a tribute to the late Roger Hawafa at today's funeral service. It was also said that Samai Yalani too was a favorite Fijian song of Roger's. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing, and we hope you enjoy the NRL. Up next, good night.
Samo